What's up, everybody? It is the 30s perspective. We've been
You're
gone for a little minute, but we are
right.
back for the new year. 2024 is already kicking off on some
Absolutely.
crazy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it
All
is.
right, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself because I feel like I always say the government, and I don't know if you be wanting the government on there like that.
I mean, honestly, I think at this stage, I don't even know what I need to go by. So I'm
Okay.
gonna keep it just the artist formerly known as for now, because there's so many things working in the
I'm so
background right now.
sorry.
So there's things that
I'm
I'm
done
just the
with you.
artist formerly
The
known
show
as.
hasn't even started yet.
I mean, look, I know I can't stand myself, so I know other people can't. I'm okay with that.
Well, your name is at the bottom of the screen,
I
so
know, which is crazy, which is
right.
kind of my government. I
Yeah.
should I should change it to question mark.
Shout out to Chris. Um, he's on here tonight. It's gonna be just us tonight.
Yes.
B Mike might pop on. We'll see what he does.
Okay.
But we're gonna have rotating guests this year because life be life and a lot of
They
us
do.
be like busy as heck these days,
Yeah,
um, with multiple things that's going on.
absolutely.
I am Sherelle Unique. And it's a pleasure to be here. I've been missing the
Yes.
podcast. I have been missing it. I have been missing it. I want to say shout out to my homegirl, Sakina. She's
Mm,
going to be doing an episode with us soon. She gave me this
okay.
shirt, half hood, half holy. Pray with me, don't play with me.
Oh man.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's like that.
I see. I
Half hood,
see.
half holy. Speaking of half hood, half holy, and we're going to keep this short because I know you're going to have a whole lot to say about this. How do you feel about the William Murphy swag surfing on New Year's Eve at his church?
Um, I think it's too much. It is. It's out of bounds for what we're supposed to be doing if we're doing these in these spiritual spaces. It's a concept of church and state, right? You gotta keep them separate. You're bringing in stuff and spirits and energy into a place where you're supposed to be tuned in and tapped in with God, and you can't do that if you're doing that and you're promoting that. And it's funny because I think we've had conversations off the potty where if you take the seven churches in Revelations, it tells you each church that wasn't doing what they needed to do and what they needed to do to fix their iniquities, right? But then you had the churches who completely just didn't care and failed outright. And a lot of the thing is you're bringing the outside heathenistic ways into the temple, and it talked about that. It says in the end times, and in these times, they're going to be trying to do these things and cross mix, and you can't mix it like that. Not like that. If you're going to bring people in and you're trying to help them and save them and show them the difference, absolutely, there's a way to go about that. Within context. But that wasn't in context. They were just doing that, and they were promoting it that way. And I mean, I think we've talked about it before. In the spiritual space, it's really limited in the dynamic music choices, right? You either have worship music or, trying to be nice here, or it gets real corny, right? You don't really have anything to translate over to being able to have a good time in the spirit and in those spaces that is kind of the equivalent to mainstream entertainment. And that's the problem. We give all the good stuff to Satan. God gets the leftovers a lot of times, which is crazy to say, but we can be just as creative when worshiping and reverencing God as they do to the trap house. The fact is that we stay so safe in a way that you're not allowed to express how you feel with God. When you pray, you can't tell me you're always like, Father, I'm just coming. Now you're like, yo, look, God, this is going on right now. This conversation needs to happen, right? We don't do that enough when it comes to the soundtrack of that walk. We are not honest and say, hey, whether I need to be not necessarily super gritty about the approach, but also in the party aspect. It's supposed to be a celebration. Everybody always wants to reference, well, David danced. He absolutely did. So if David's going to dance and this is an interpretation of what he was doing and feeling, do that. But if you're going to do that, create it in such a way that the music gets everybody moving in that space and invite the spirit in. But we don't have enough of that. So all he chose from was what the world had to offer. Luckily, it wasn't twerking for Jesus, because that would have been insane, but that's happened in the past. So, I mean, swag surfing isn't any better, but at
So
least it leaned away from blasphemy.
I have mixed feelings about it. Um, I do think that some secular music is okay to be played at church. Because we lead secular lives in a sense. So I do think that some secular music can be played at church. Keyword is some.
Right.
I've had some pastors who have allowed my band, who does clean music, and if it ain't clean, I bleep it so it is clean. He allowed, they've allowed my band to play or rehearse at the church, and I'm respectful of how that goes about. But for me, even though I love the song and I be swag surfing, I feel like it's a time and place for things. I don't feel like a service is the time and place for swag surfing to be played. Just, I mean, it's just time and place. If we don't do certain things at court, then there's certain things we don't do for church.
And that's all I'm saying. Absolutely.
I would have been okay with them playing the music. The dance ain't so bad. It's not like over sexualized or anything like that. I would have been okay with them just playing the music and people just vibing to that. But for me, the words are a little overboard for the environment, because the environment does not promote those particular lyrics that were that was being played. And I do think we do have to make some changes in our approach when we're trying to bring people into the church, because the world is changing and you don't want to be trying to catch fish with the wrong bait. You don't want to be speaking a language that people don't even understand. So you do have to meet people where they are, but you also have to you have to show that this is a different environment. There's time and place. We're supposed to be focusing on Christ. We can have a little fun, but we're supposed to be focusing on Christ. And I also didn't like his response, like, we won this many souls to say night.
It's not about that.
Many souls did you win? Like, it was just a nasty.
It's not supposed to be a competition like that. Like, if we're doing this thing, what are your motives? Are they pure? Are you really intentionally trying to get these people to get them in a place of cleaning themselves? Because here's the thing too, a lot of the issue comes down to, you can win a soul, or I don't want to say you win a soul, because when you first get them to make the choice to start making that transition, there's still work that has to go into it. They're day one brand new, right? It says they're children in this, so they're a kid. If you're not nourishing that spiritual development, they can fall off and die anyway. So what did you really do? Now, yes,
it sounds a little selfish, like, you won this soul to, like, what? They made a choice, and that choice was between them and Christ.
Right.
So anyway, let's move on from that topic. Because there's so much going on. Oh my God.
Listen, I mean.
Okay, so Boosie just recently, he's going viral right now because he took his child to go see The Color Purple. And his child, I believe, maybe 9 years old, but don't quote me. He took his daughter out the movie because he felt like it was agenda pushing, and it was pushing the LGBTQ community. And so, The Color Purple, he took his child out because, obviously, for those who don't know, who has not seen the movie or read the movie, or seen the old one, there is a kiss.
Yes.
What do you think about this whole thing, and we're gonna keep it brief because we got more crazy things to talk about.
We do. My stance on the Alphabet Gang isn't a secret. I'm not a I don't want to say I'm not an ally because I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but I'm not a teammate.
Okay.
But like I said, if you said it, I mean, if you've read the book, there was a lot of stuff underlying there. And I mean, the kiss existed in the original as well, not as focused on. But in the climate of today, I mean, that's what you see left and right. The aspect of the agenda, though, Hollywood's been pushing it heavy. And I think we talked about that a couple years ago, even on the pod, where we saw it coming, different things. And at that time, I think some of the opinions were different because it wasn't in as full swing as it is now. But you see it. It's been an agenda because, again, I mean, I've said it in my past. I remember growing up in the 90s and people were gay, right? It wasn't a thing. Hey, you're gay. They felt normal. And I don't want to discredit the experience because I don't know it, but it wasn't like they had to tell you all the time, I'm gay, look at me, I'm gay, I'm gay, I'm gay. It was, hey, I'm gay, I go to work, I do this, I'm just here. That's my sexual preference, my partner. It wasn't this overinflation of flamboyancy and this like, accept me because it's this. Well, stop looking like a caricature, be a person. So I think Boosie has always kind of stood on the keep the fairy stuff over there. He's always kind of been that person. So for him to do that, that's not abnormal. But Hollywood, media, everything, the second that you speak up against the Alphabet Gang, somebody's coming for you. You're getting canceled or you're labeled, and that's not the case. I just don't agree with it. I mean, live life, you're gonna do it, but don't push that on anybody. Just live in it, just live. If you're gonna be it, live, and stop trying to overdo it. Just exist then. If you think it's normal, then be normal.
Okay, so my feelings about it has really honestly been an evolution. Growing up as a sheltered church kid, at this point, I'm like, that's your business, and I got my own sins I'm trying to figure out.
Right.
So my job is to love you and respect you, and that's your business. You do what you got, what you feel you got to do. That's your business. I can't put you in no heaven or hell. I'm trying to make it to heaven myself. Like,
man, that part.
That's where I'm at with it today.
Mm-hmm.
As far as agenda goes, I do think it's a lot of pushing a certain narrative when it comes to a person's sexual preference in media, and just being overly sexualized just in general. Yeah. That is being pushed in the media, hands down. Now, when it comes to Boosie and The Color Purple, it was in the book. It was in the old movie.
Right.
And if you care that much about what your child is watching, why you ain't go check that out beforehand?
That part.
Also, I was watching one of my favorite podcasters, Bondi Blue. She's actually bisexual. She's married to a man now, but she's talking about how back in her day when she was with girls or whatever, she used to listen to a Boosie song, and he actually had lyrics that said something like, I don't know if this word's offensive. I hope it's not, but like two dykes kissing and I'm excited or something.
You're using it for context, but
okay. So in the past, you using these lyrics as if it's cool, and now you mad. And then also, you have a daughter who just came out as lesbian.
Right.
So I just think you need to just kind of shut up. And now if you want to get up and leave, that's your choice. But I just kind of think you need to shut up because you can't make it cool then and then now you are like you have never been cool with it. Like you know, you
See,
selective outrage or whatever.
and
Also, I want to say this about The Color Purple. That is a moment or two in the movie,
mhm,
in the book, but as a whole, that is not what the story's about
right,
at all,
right,
in any
right,
way, shape, or form.
right.
It's way deeper things being taught and brought up in that movie. I don't
Right.
personally think that I had to write maybe like a 12-page paper or something like that in high school with that
Mhm.
book and movie or whatever. I don't
Okay.
really think that movie's for kids personally. I don't really see the point of
It
I mean, not that kids will be jacked up watching it, but
well, here's the problem with
I just feel like it's for adults.
modern. Well, but I'll say this with literature versus movies, right? We have this rating system for what's appropriate for kids. But I remember being in school reading Beowulf, right? There is decapitation, there is murder, there is sex, there's a lot with Beowulf, there's a lot with Shakespeare, there's a lot with all of these things. But then we get to movies, and because you can visually see the representation of the words play out, somehow we start to deem it as inappropriate or offensive or things like that.
This shouldn't be shown without a conversation.
That's the issue. Culturally, right now, we might be the most technologically advanced that we've ever been, but we are emotionally stupid. And we do not have conversations with our kids. Also, the issue is that parents aren't able to be home as they used to be. Um, and we have watered down so much that these kids are soft. Like, and I don't want to say it like you can't be emotional, but I mean that they don't have any sense of real reality. Like, they think that the world is going to play with them with kid gloves when they finally get out there, and they're going to learn the hard way that it hurts and it hits hard.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not gearing them up appropriately, because I feel like certain things, like even the book To Kill a Mockingbird and the movie, um, key because it shows reality. It showed a racially motivated segment. It showed the compassion of a person. It showed levels of humanity. And I think that we're missing that anymore. And we're not having those honest dialogues. And if school is supposed to be a place where kids are getting the foundation of what it means to be an adult, we have to stop handicapping them and really start teaching them again all this stuff. It's okay to read literature. Listen,
I
hot
just
take.
think there should be a age appropriate things and conversations to go along with the age appropriate. Like I'm not taking my 7-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old to go see Color Purple.
But a 6 and 7 year old
I'm
will
not,
listen to Nicki Minaj.
but
A six
I
and
don't
seven
think.
year old,
But I don't think the 6-year-old, that same 6-year-old I'm talking about, I don't feel like they should.
but
But
this
you
is
know,
but
somebody else will allow that to happen. So that's where, like, you seen that video where the kids was dancing to Sexy Red song. It was a whole
no.
kid party. They had to be maybe about 4 or 5 years old. They were singing, I think they were singing Ski Yee, or it could have been a different one.
See, I it couldn't have been me. And but this is the issue too. You know, we look at the cultural divide. We look at all of these things, and it makes me sad because culturally we allow things that other cultures would never allow. And the second we get to talking about it, you run into the why let people live their lives, or I'm not going to say this, or why you worried. What they do, does it affect you? Well, yes, it absolutely affects me, because if you have kids, your kids are going to be in school with my kids. Your kids are going to then be the generation that my kids have to deal with your lack of morality, your lack of focus. You know, morality is subjective. I get it to certain regards, but there's just a level of decorum that people are missing nowadays, and nobody wants to speak up. And the second you do, is who you think you are? Oh, you think you're better than me, you think you're this. And it's like, no, but your behavior is idiotic, and it's detrimental if you say that we need to be better as people, but you're promoting the same thing that degrades their thought process.
Um, I want to say this too when it comes to this situation with Boosie.
Yeah.
Two things. One, you're in the entertainment industry. The LGBTQ are very prominent in the entertainment industry. So get over it, because you're going to meet some people. Yeah. You're going to work with some people. You're going to, it is what it is. Like, love people with respect. You happy, I'm happy. All right, handle your business, I'm handling mine. That's it. It's not my business to even get involved, And the other part of it is, in hip hop culture, which is about to be something we about to talk about.
Okay. We
know that it was rape culture, it was abuse culture towards women, especially. Yeah. It's a culture of being cool to be emotionally and physically violent towards women. Yeah. Unfortunately, and you okay with that. But now Color Purple, because they got one kiss in there.
Yeah.
You standing up. Like
I mean, and I think for me too, though, like, that's what I said. I have no hatred for the LGBT community. I don't, because I mean, I got cousins who are trans. I've, if anybody's know
one of my siblings,
Well, I mean, also me coming up through placement, I was exposed to a lot of different kinds of people. And even working subsequently for the system for years afterward, I ran into clients that I had who were trans. So, I mean, I experienced it kind of at all levels. And at no point was I, mean. I was always compassionate to everybody's struggle and situation. And I mean, as a younger me, if I'm looking at it from just the basic human standpoint, I've never had a problem with an LGBT person. I've never had a, an altercation like that where I was like, oh, you know what I mean, in that way. Now, not to say that those don't happen and people don't get beside themselves and, situations occur, but I never experienced that kind of visceral response to an LGBT person. Honestly, at the time, as a teenager, a lot of that stuff was funny to me. The way that they were, and I mean, just carrying themselves like that. I was also very inquisitive, like, hey, well, why are you doing that? Like, as a teenager, I'm asking, like, yo, like, that's not a me thing, but hey, you think by all means, but I'm curious, like, why? So it was things like that. But also, and just like Boosie, it sounds horrible, but I get it, but it's still horrible, because as a younger me, as Boosie even kind of, alluded to, girl on girl was a thing. As a guy, to have two women at the same time,
lots of men like that.
That was a thing. So, but again,
like, when you get mad now here, now you ain't mad here. Like, you got.
But when you know better, you do better, right? So, at that age, would I promote something like that because I was young and dumb and hormonal? Yes. As an adult that's seasoned and has awareness, all right, let's not do that. And also, having walked into ministry and really getting into a deeper relationship with God, it's like, all right, we as satisfying in the flesh as that would be, is that what I should do? And that's where the switch came for me with a lot of things. So, like I said, human to human, I have no hatred for the LGBT community. Action wise, what you present, what you flagrantly throw out there without regard, like, you're not taking in regards to what a kid can process. And like you said, to remove your kid from it is a parent's right to do it. If you went to go see a slasher flick and there's blood and you're like, oh, heads are coming off and dismemberment and stuff, like, hey, my kid's getting out of here. It's kind of the same thing. If there's something that culturally doesn't sit right with your household, by all means, remove you and whoever is attached to you from that situation. But we do need to have the exploration and conversation of, hey, before you come see this, if you are not a proponent of XYZ, please be aware that there are some content in here that might offend your sensibilities.
And, so and with that's that information, one thing about media that I don't like, because you should be able to have your opinions either way, respectfully, and that just be it. You shouldn't be villainized if
you shouldn't.
You know, if you're not for this thing or whatever. But you know, whatever. Like I said, what you got going on in your bedroom ain't my business because I'm not in there.
Right. That's between you and the good Lord.
You and them sheets. So, you know, whatever you got going on, whatever that is.
Right.
All right. Like I said, we was gonna get into the hip hop culture thing. How you feel about this Diddy, Cassie, etc., 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 etc.
Diddy got a lot of dots. You just say Diddy dot 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 because yo,
hey, it started off. We thought it was 30 pages. It was actually 60 pages worth of allegations in that lawsuit, but it was reduced down to 30.
I mean, first off, anymore legally, they fluffed up everything just to see what sticks. They'll throw things at the wall, and when they're going through litigation, they'll see what the prosecution is willing to kind of whittle it down to. Because some things are a duplication when it comes to law. Like if you do this, this means the same thing, but the charge might look like this. So they'll take that, and that's why I reduced down to 30 from the 60 or whatever. But here's my issue. What took you so long? I mean, I get it, trauma, but you could have did this when you got out the first time. Unless you were still messing with this man after you had technically got away and you're still dealing with somebody else, but you went back to Diddy. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that can be speculated from there to say, okay, well, now I'm really done with you, or I severed, or he said something I didn't like, so now I'm going to file this paperwork and just give him a hard time with this now. And I think that, again, it's entertainment. It's she was done with him. What are you coming back for now? You know, you got out, you were living your life. Is the money worth it? Like you that hard up to now want to do that? And in some ways, and it sounds terrible, but are you trying to use the courts to solicit payment now? Are you trying to use that to now extort him, because we use the court for means of extortion for things that you can get paid for because it's emotional damage or whatever. I find cause with that. But outside of that lawsuit, all the stuff that's come to light, I mean, geez. Because, I mean, it's been known for decades that Puff and Mary used to do coke all the time together. Yeah, I mean, that was an industry thing. They knew she was on drugs. Like, Mary made some of her best music high. Terrible. But her and Puff would just ride around New York doing coke. So, I mean, there's that. Now, him as the rump wrangler, Diddy's always been a little soft. I mean, take that. Bad boy, baby. I'm trying to think where this came from now.
So let me address the first thing that you said. I don't think that a person who has been victimized on a level that Cassie has claimed to have been victimized should be given a time limit, because you are broken down to nothing to even experience and stay in abusive situations, to have to succumb to a situation like that, especially over somebody that is rich and powerful, who holds your career and over your head. She was a teenager with not much life experience beforehand. She's been kicked in the face. She's been sex trafficked. Now, this dude is blowing up cars.
Yeah.
And allegedly, and this is all allegedly, everything
it's all allegedly.
said on this podcast is allegedly.
Yeah, it's allegedly. Let's preface. Allegedly.
Allegedly blowing up cars, allegedly offing people. Imagine the threats that this man has made. Imagine the things that she has witnessed him do. Allegedly slapping his own mama in the face. You got to get over the psychological damage, and that is not healed just because you've left an environment.
Well, let me say this just briefly though. For the women who have dated actual mobsters, I'm talking about when the mob was really a thing. From it kind of fizzled out early 90s, but I'm talking early 90s back, right? If that's the case, then these females can come out and sue the mob because they were killing people in front of them. They were blowing up cars. They were trafficking everything. So if we're gonna, and this is why I said it's difficult when it comes to our community, because the Italians did it forever, the Irish did it, but it comes to Black folk, and now it's, well, let's attack this people. Let's do this way. Let's go this way. I get it. Wrong is wrong. I absolutely am not justifying it, but I'm saying we keep tearing ourselves down from within, and men and DV and all these things, period, I don't promote. You're right. I think that women should absolutely be protected and valued. And all of that when it comes to what she's experienced. So yes, loss of innocence is sad, but in this country, the legal age to become an adult is 18 years old.
Yeah, but didn't she meet him when she was 17?
Did they do anything at 17?
Who's gonna know that?
That part. I mean, so
also,
we can only.
When you say the word "but," you cancel out everything you said beforehand. I'm just throwing that out there. But I don't think
you
it
can.
breaks you down psychologically, mentally, physically, on all levels. Studies have shown it takes approximately 7 times for an abused person to leave their abuser, because they are not in a space, financial, they're not in a space to even get on their feet. And then she gets on her feet. That don't mean, and she's finally gets away from him. That don't mean she's strong enough to tell. That might even mean she might need some convincing. She needs to build her confidence back up. She needs to know that he's not going to retaliate. How do I do this? And then when you want to hurt somebody like him,
pockets.
You got to hit him in the pockets.
Yeah.
You got to. That's the only thing, that's because he's emotionless.
Yeah. I mean, but I was watching, so I watched the shameless plug. I watch the Whatever podcast as well sometimes, right? And a lot of who they bring on are, women who are in the industry, the adult industry. Some are in the regular industry and things like that. But this concept, it was a woman who called all men. They said all men are pedo, okay, because all men want are young women, things like that. So they were reducing men down to that. And someone made a point to say, with schools anymore, because you talked about the power dynamic. And the issue is that in schools currently, or more recently, should I say, women have been essaying young men way more, boys way more. So these teachers, these mommy models are now preying on a boy's need for nurture as well, and they're stealing those levels of innocence. So when you think about it, we look at it on both ends. Men, when they become established and things like that, can prey on women of all ages, but women can destroy a man at adolescence. And then when you do that, you then still continue to blame him for his trauma into adulthood. And then his inability to adjust, he's still judged because he's a man. So the issue that we really do come into, and I'm a man. I don't give men a pass, but we have to look at it on both sides. We have to stop villainizing just men and say, well, men do this. There are so many powerful women in the industry or just in corporations and in the corporate world that have taken advantage of so many people. So and you don't and you hate to say it, but sometimes women are worse. Women can be really wicked and demented in how they approach a situation. Men, a lot of times, they're callous, they're this, it's like a one shot. Women will take that manipulation sometimes to a whole new level. And
if a woman want to get in there, it's calculated,
right,
planned out, and I think SA is still fairly new waters for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, this is all like Me Too culture. Yeah. These things are fairly new in the sense of like people even want to talk about them, people addressing them, right. People even feeling comfortable to even share things that has happened when they were a kid or whatever. Mm-hmm. And also, in addition to that, trauma is still fairly new. Yeah. Like a whole lot of people are misinformed when it comes to trauma.
Absolutely.
Like how you get through it, et cetera, et cetera. Because back in the day, they didn't deal with none of this type of stuff. They didn't even talk about this stuff.
No, it just happened and it went under the rug.
Our grandparents to this day won't mention stuff that has happened to them.
And I know a lot of family trauma that has happened, that has come out, that I was privy to, you're made privy to as an adult. And I'm like, what? And you ain't telling me when I was a kid, a bust, you know what I mean? And you go into that space. It's like, oh, you did what, the who, and where? Oh, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's the thing. When we look at SA and trauma now, and again, it always sounds bad because I'm a man and I'm saying it because it's like, it's pushing back at feminism and things like that. But we've come into such a space where the concept of believe all women has actually been bad because too much has come out that women have lied about. And it's like, well, you said believe them, and then you see it and it's like, well, she lied. So you
believe it until the proof is there. And then at that point, in my opinion, it needs to be addressed and even consequenced when it is a lie. That's a problem that I have. Well, especially it's about an SA type of situation. You lie on somebody about that,
mm-hmm.
You need to be in jail.
Absolutely, because they were. Mm-hmm. Your lie, and again, we take it back to this is. I mean, it segues into a little bit of what I want to talk about anyway. But Emmett Till, right? The whole whistling thing. The white woman lied. He died. Mm-hmm. Right now. Fast forward, however many years, where we at 60 years removed from it or whatever now, and you got Jonathan Majors. I mean, listen. Yeah, I mean, you got the white elephant in the room. But the problem is that there's a video. There's a video that shows him trying to get away. The one thing that as men, we're always told to do, right? If she hits you, walk away. If she hits you, get away. Don't do anything. Get away. You're a man. Don't hit her. Get away.
He was running fast.
So wait a minute. He did the thing, and this is crazy. He did the thing that not only men are told to do, but black men are told to do. If a woman hits you, get out the way. He did it and still caught a charge.
He caught a charge because he picked her up and stuffed
her back. He put her back in. But here's the thing.
So out of 4 charges, he got 2 of them.
2, but 1 wasn't even a crime. 1's not even a crime. But they still put it up there and push it and promote it, but 1's not even a crime. So now you're persecuting them in the court of public opinion, and 1 thing ain't even illegal.
I do think and have heard from several different sources that he is problematic. I don't know. I don't view him.
But does that, just because he's probably
like I said, I don't know.
Here's my thing. I can be a jerk all day. It's not illegal to be a jerk.
Oh no.
You don't have to listen. This is what I'm saying. You don't have to like him as a person, right? Wait. Here's the thing. If he didn't do anything illegal, I don't care what his character is like.
I don't believe they weren't. I don't believe they weren't in both in an abusive relationship in that situation.
I think there were levels
in
to
that
it.
relationship. Now that incident, camera shows something else.
Right. Overall, we're not in their bedroom, like you said. You know
No,
what I
we're
mean?
not.
We're not there, and we're not privy to those smaller, intimate moments that didn't become sensationalized by this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But all you can judge him on, and this is what the law is, all you can judge him on is what the evidence is for this situation. And honestly, for this situation, the man's not guilty of any of that. He can be guilty of being a jerk. He can be guilty of being too aggressive in certain aspects. But when it comes to this, he's not guilty. He's not.
The charges he got were what? Reckless.
Hold on, I can look it up. Give me 2 seconds.
I want to make sure we say exactly. He's not guilty of being a woman beater.
It was misdemeanor assault in the 3rd degree, recklessly causing physical injury and harassment in the 2nd degree.
3rd degree is you wasn't trying to, but you did.
Right. But you did. And the harassment isn't even a charge. It's just harassment. The misdemeanor assault and the reckless physical injury are the only 2 lawful things that he
what
can
was the harassment thing though? What was that?
I think the harassment was trying to get the phone back.
Okay.
I think that the phone incident in itself was the harassment because it popped up, it caused emotional distress on her and harassment.
I think she should be charged as well.
New York, listen, I think that he should sue the prosecution's office. I think honestly, it was a witch hunt. I mean, I don't care that the trial, but he can appeal it. It's a stupid appeal. It's like, it's a ticket. Honestly, what he got hit with in the 3rd degree is a ticket. It's a summon. It's a summary offense. It actually equates to nothing, truthfully.
He could spend up to a year in jail.
Well, for that one alone, I thought it had to be both.
I don't know
Okay.
the else, honestly.
I'm not sure what it is either. But the thing is when you look at it, when you look at the charges and you look at the video, who was the aggressor?
Oh, that situation, she was the aggressor.
So here's the thing. If I'm defending myself, I don't care if she's a woman. This is the problem. Stop giving women passes, right? The second because women want equality. So the second you get charged like anybody else, if I'm the aggressor and you defend me and you recklessly push me back and I get hurt, but I'm the aggressor, you should get charged the same way he did then. There should be no excuse to it then.
To add to what you're saying, men need to know when to leave relationships because men don't leave. Women get faulted for leaving, but men don't leave. When it's toxic, she keep fighting you, she keep hitting you, she keep arguing with you. When it is toxic, get up out of there. Get out of there.
I get it, but for men, it's this sense of duty sometimes, even though it's toxic and horrible. Because here's the thing you got to understand. We are just now as a species trying to get to this point of walk away, get away. Humans have existed for centuries now. This isn't new. We're in a space where people are trying to justify certain things, but also the food has messed us up. Everything on this planet is now corrupting our body. We're thrown, right? We're not who we used to be.
This is a new thing. Leave is a new thing.
Yes.
You gotta get up out of it, especially when you got opportunities like Marvel.
Well,
those don't just come every day. You know they ain't playing around with their reputation.
Absolutely. But here's the problem with this too. You're a musician, right? We've all done a little bit of entertainment stuff here and there, but you're a musician. Is your talent attached to your personality? If you are unbelievably talented and exceptional and you can do these things, if you're a jerk, should I care? Should I care that your talent?
I think that I personally think that people should care, personally, but I don't
why?
think that everybody does.
Because here's the thing. If you wrote a piece of music that changed the world, right? Should I care that you aren't the best person? Because what you created,
yes. I say yes. No, I know, but I understand and respect that everybody don't care. Some people separate it.
Your talent and who you are have to be separated. And I'll say that, but I'll tell you why. Now, coming from a spiritual standpoint, and I've used this recently, right? When you think about the Bible, and I'm only going to use a small piece, but Saul used to go around and kill Jews, right? And then God used him to bring more people to him. His actions there don't outweigh what he did later. And even God says that, right? That's biblical. That's not a me choice. That's not a personal choice. That's how the word displays it. So just because
you're talking as if this situation is a situation of the past, and there's been some evolution, and now you're a changed human being.
I get that.
Actively being a fool or being abusive.
But what I'm saying is your talent isn't attached to your personality.
It should be.
But why?
Because people want authenticity.
Okay. R. Kelly wrote so many songs and turned out to be problematic. But the weight of his talent and the impact of that music doesn't change because he's a crap human being. The music stands the test of time, even if his character doesn't.
I'm not arguing that. I just feel like
same thing with Jonathan
in a perfect world that it was the same. I wish you were who I thought you were. That's it. But I do understand that it takes trauma and it takes a little bit of yin and yang.
But you of all people
create those great moments.
But you of all people have heard the saying, never meet your idols.
Oh yeah.
So here's the thing. When you prop a person up from being a human being to this thing that you want them to be, you've already set yourself up for failure. What I'm saying is, as a human being, dude, you made great movies, great music, whatever. You're a horrible person. Your talent in your field, impeccable. Go for it. You killed it there. Because I never needed you to be my idol. You were entertainment. I understand the human experience. You're human like I'm human. You just do it on a greater stage at times. So when you fail spectacularly.
Get like it's the same with, because people always, and we're not going down this rabbit hole, but I'm gonna quickly mention it when it comes to ministers and pastors and people. Right. Those are human beings. They are flawed human beings, and we are all flawed human beings. Right. In a perfect world, do I wish that you matched up to this thing that I imagined? Right. Yes. Right. That's what I would want. A lot of us want that. Right. But we know that you are human, a gifted human, because God gifts us all. Right. A gifted human being with a purpose and a calling, but you're also a flawed sinner. Right. Too. Right. All right. Let's hit our last topic for tonight. Yes. This Cat Williams interview, dog.
Hey, man. Hey, listen. You talking scorched earth? He was scorched earth. Man, shots. Like he gave no X.
Fire, boom.
Man, listen.
Yo.
Boom, fire, man. Yeah, he wasn't playing. I need the reggae air horn. Like I need all of it right now. Like that's how crazy that was. But again, you've heard stories like that for years, not just from him though. You've heard it. I've heard people tell stories about how Steve Harvey tried to sabotage Bernie Mac. I've heard that stuff.
Loosely, I didn't follow it, but
it was sprinkled out there. So
I was just was that because see at work I like to have my little podcast in, like to do my tappity tap listening. I'm listening, I'm pausing. Pausing. I have to pause this all together. I can't watch
Yeah.
this now.
Yeah.
But he let those who did not see it, he let off on Michael
Blackson,
Ricky
Phase on
Smiley,
Love, Ricky Smiley,
Steve Harvey,
Steve
Kim
Harvey, Gary Owen.
Kardashian.
Oh, absolutely, Kim Kardashian. Yes.
All they light skinned ugly wives from what he said.
Yeah, I mean, did you see the picture though? It was a thing. I'm just saying, there's a lot to it. He went off on TD Jakes, Diddy a little bit. Yeah, I mean, like,
King.
oh yeah, but see, and that's the thing. If he's telling you, and he said it before though, Harvey Weinstein, if he was letting you know those nuggets before, you want to discredit him now after you know what Weinstein did? Come on, man. Come on. And I mean, everybody, us anyway, because we've done entertainment projects and things like that. So we've been around places and auditions and castings, and you know how it can be in some of these rooms. And it's a matter of integrity. What are you willing to do for this opportunity? And I mean, me and you talked about that even when I was doing music a little bit heavier when I was younger, with some of the deals on the table and walking away from things because I can't, who I am, I don't need that. I'm okay. And I, at the time, money was different. It wasn't these $1 million contracts that was like, hey, here's a writing credit, or here's this, come in, try this, things like that. But, even to walk away from certain things at that time, it could have been life-changing, but I'm not sacrificing me for no dollar amount. And even my best friend at the time, I mean, the fear was the drug culture at the time too. I mean, the most I did at that time was weed. I mean, we were, college age, younger. I mean, it was things like that. But, there were other substances even creeping in at that time when we were doing certain studio sessions and things like that. And I was just like, dude, I don't think that I can, in my right mind, sign something that I'm going to bring, one of my best friends along for this ride, and I can be responsible for him not being here anymore. That wasn't a thing. So I mean, my sense of loyalty was different, and then my sense of integrity was different. There's just things I just was never willing to sell out for.
And some people are willing to sell anything to get the riches, the fame,
no, sir.
get up there. It's scary, yo.
It is. It is, because you never know. And I mean, it circles back to Diddy, Cassie too, because you don't know what she was willing to do to get that initial contract, and
especially when you're so far in, like say
right.
you are so far in, you're so close. Like you think, especially with her, she's with Puffy. He has hit.
Yeah.
He has made superstars.
Right.
So she's so close. She thinking like, if I just do one more freak off, maybe
he'll get me there. Maybe he'll do this. He promised me. And these empty promises, and kept her in this perpetual cycle of, he loves me. He's gonna do this. He says he set the studio session up, or he got this song coming in, or he got this producer to come in and do this. Yeah,
legit. He's holding. He was able to dangling it like a carrot in front of her face.
And you never know too. She could have recorded music, and he's holding it captive.
Yeah.
If she doesn't do a thing. Yep. And I mean, it could have been with super producers. It could have been with people who aren't here anymore. You're talking Prince. You're talking Michael. He had these relationships.
He did.
So and we're talking early 2000s. Mike was still here. Prince was still here. So you have this time frame of a lot of artists that he could have brought into that studio. And she could have laid something down.
Social media, and I don't know what her timeline was, but at certain points, no cell phones, so you couldn't reach people. Weren't accessible.
I think that we're talking.
Hers might be, but
we're talking 2000
people.
Are we talking 98 to 2000? That stretch right there.
I'd have to.
When did she jump off? I can't remember when Cassie really jumped off, because I can't remember if Puff was still with Kim at that time, or if Cassie came into the picture. But Cassie came after J-Lo. Cassie came after J-Lo.
Watching a video where and I'm not finished watching it, but allegedly Mary J. Blige was a Cassie before Cassie.
That's what I was saying though.
So
they used to ride around doing that stuff.
For a long time.
Puffy. Now, Listen, and it sucks because it does kill those people that we held in such esteem for so long. But I was watching something again on Russell Simmons on Rush. Yeah, I mean, like Russell Simmons was my guy. Like I used to love all things Def Jam, like all things Def Jam. Like that was, especially like I said, at the time of doing music and the way I was doing things, Def Jam was on the table. So like I was like, yo, Def Jam, fuck yeah, excuse my language, Def Jam. You know what I mean? I got excited for a second. I forgot what was that. Okay. But you know, the thing is it's like those opportunities coming, and you're like, yo, I want that. I want if I can walk in those doors, and then to see the grooming culture that even Russell Simmons had. Yeah. And it's like, not Russ, man. Like because I mean, if you've watched Crush Groove or you know the history of Def Jam, you know, Russ used to do a lot of cocaine in the 80s.
Certain people would be like,
a lot of it.
No, wait. Now let's get back to this thing. Okay. He called out Steve Harvey's Man Unit.
Yeah.
Nobody has mentioned Steve Harvey's Man Unit that I know of.
I mean, Steve used to have what was like the fro going on.
Look at that, like, what's that? What?
Right. Now you got to think about it. Like, I do recall.
I remember peeping it one day. I remember peeping it. Yeah. Cedric the Entertainer stealing his joke. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's facts. I mean, if you watch the BET set and commercial side by side, it is the same setup. It is the same joke. Like you said, the only thing different is his Cadillac versus the spaceship Cadillac. It's the same exact joke.
I feel like though there are certain jokes that a lot of people have done. Like, can you imagine how many people have done one with where they are sitting in a car and the music's playing?
Absolutely, but you got to remember that time frame. Cap was the one who made that set popular. And think about it, we grew up watching BET. Like that's when BET was BET.
And once it's popular, you got to leave it alone.
Right. And I mean, we know Comic View. We're not naive to it. We came up in that era. We saw it, right? Now, these new kids are going to try to give a pass. Oh, it's old people beef us, this and that. But think about, and I want to say think about these young people and their creative edge, but they lack talent anymore. I'm sorry. A lot of what's out there is super reused, so no one even cares about originality for real anymore. But in that time, when you take your craft so serious, and you create this joke and you lay it out and you format it and it becomes perfect to the point where you did it on Comic View twice, and then BET approaches you like, hey, for our programming and for our promotion of this show, can we use this clip in repetition to promote the show? If it's that good that a network approaches you to use your content like that, especially at that time, that means you had something. And for Cedric to take it and then try to reformat it slightly and change little subtleties, you see the meat. Stop.
You just say, yo, listen, I was inspired by it. And I
called it inspiration.
I came up with my own. I didn't think that it was as close as it was, but you know, I don't want nobody to think I'm stealing their jokes, but I do believe people have stolen. I really think it's common practice for people to use each other's jokes.
Hold on, but I'm going to say this because this is what makes me really irritated when it comes to the music business. Again, no slander, no ill will per se.
Beyonce.
But not just her. We can get to her too because Khalees wasn't popping. Let's stop that for a second. But Marvin Gaye's estate, the Gaye family. When you look at Blurred Lines,
Blurred Line. I know.
Listen, it's an interpolation. Stop. It's not his. I don't think the Gaye family deserved that money. You derailed a current creative artist who could have given us more stuff with his own personal issues aside. He could have still continued to do stuff, but you want to attack and you don't deserve it. He's not here. Who are you? You have no effing talent. So you're eating off of your relative.
It's such a blurred line.
But that's the problem. That needs to go away. Because here's the thing. If we're going to do that, the second that Comic View thing was aired, it's copywritten. It's owned now. It's proven that it exists. So what Cat Williams should be able to do, because it's still within the realms of it, I should be able to sue Cedric the Entertainer for even touching it.
Now, what do we think about
the same format?
What do we think about the Ricky Smiley? He said he been playing the same old lady since the
I
90s.
mean, he has though. It's not a lie. I mean, I remember the
Oh,
Ricky
I
Smiley
was like,
morning show,
no,
but it's
I can't
facts.
play her no more at this point because
But the same thing that he said about Martin and about Kevin Hart wearing the dresses. I mean, so many comedians throughout history have said, as a black man, you're not putting me in a dress. That has been derogatory in our culture, at least forever,
it
since
has
comedy.
been, but it's
So many people have done it
on both ends. When I've seen it where it has been a lot of comedians who have done it and it has been hilarious, and then I've seen a few who said absolutely not, and I would not go that route. And
but that's the thing. It's
I
the
would be a hypocrite if I say
demasculization.
I ain't laugh at some of
I
the.
mean, I absolutely laughed at a point. Again, it's before being able to actually develop an informed understanding of what's going on. And the problem is that we are still relatively new to the realm of owning our intellectual properties as Black people, right? And so often we have been slaves to different companies and organizations that if we don't do a thing, we don't get money, we don't get sponsorship, we don't continue to be able to be creators.
You
So
gotta
we had to
really know
sell,
who you are
right?
in
So
this
we've had to sell
game.
parts of our dignity just for $1. And this is the fundamental aspect of this entire conversation: is how much of yourself are you willing to sell for $1? Historically, in the words of Kendrick Lamar, "To Pimp a Butterfly," it's like, how much $1 cost? Because what are you willing to sell in order to get a couple dollars? And
Now,
I'm sorry,
Kim Kardashian.
I mean, he was right. Like, Kanye knew he signed up for a hoe. Like, I'm not even gonna pull punches on that.
Oh.
Kim got famous for catching the pipe. Like, let's not pretend like she was actually talented. She was a makeup artist. She
That
could
family
do
is
some stuff.
foul. That family
They're
is
super
foul.
foul, super foul. And I mean, again, you only liked her because she caught the, I mean,
His new
like,
woman looked just like her. I'm like,
yeah,
why don't we get somebody that look this? She looked miserable, like she's in a cage.
because she didn't know what she signed up for.
That's all.
And that's the thing. Kanye the mess out of her, and she was like, "Oh, I didn't know that this was the Kanye brand."
So how do you feel? Do you think that Cat is bitter? Do you think he needs to heal? Do you think he went too far?
I
I'm
think
not
that there's
know what you about to
levels.
say, but tell the people what you about to say.
I think there's levels to it. I think that there is healing that he needs to have, but did he go too far? Absolutely not. And I mean, I think that, me. Um, when I'm geared up and somebody does a thing, I'm the same way. I'm scorched earth, right? It's not that I want to be. I mean, honestly, one thing that 2024, I'm gonna try to be a little less abrasive, I suppose.
Well,
Slightly,
now that you
maybe.
got some new endeavors,
I do have some new endeavors.
you may be able to achieve your goal.
I'll touch that towards the end, but hold on. No, I think that anymore we live in a world of so many lies, right? You can be anything you want on the interwebs. There's no accountability, right? There's no accountability on social media, anything. You can say whatever you want to and destroy something and there be no validity behind it, right? And with this, there's receipts. We can go back in time. We can look things up. Hey, was this? Did this happen this time? This did happen. This was this. This was this. So even when they come out and try to play cleanup and try to divert you from thinking a thing, you can go, wait, it lives on because this was an interview you did, or this was this. So in this time frame, if you did that thing, it's not hard to connect the dots and say, hey, you did that. Own it. Stop trying to dodge it and say, just like we just said, if you're a crappy human being, okay, we can accept that you're a crappy human being. Own it. Because we're in a space where you can't be honest. Like, listen, I'm not giving passes to white folks if they do blackface, but I get the time period. I get the thing. It's blackface. I'm not going to be like, I'm going to kill you. I don't care enough to do that. I don't.
I think he went I feel like for the people who have said things about him, then if you dishing it, you should be able to take it. Now, people, I don't really like stray bullets. I'd be like, come on, they ain't do nothing to you. But I like what I'll say. I feel bad about stray bullets, but I be watching all of this because this is the tea for me.
Absolutely.
But the ones I did watch, I think it was Kevin Hart who said that Cat Williams was on drugs. You know, I remember him saying that on an interview that I watched. So allegedly. So I mean, you dishing stuff out. You better take what you dishing, especially in that game. Like,
but that's the thing. Think about how many times we've seen the industry, or we've seen somebody in music or entertainment industry period do something, and they chalk it up to drugs or you know, other mental health things, and then years later it comes out that they were telling the truth, right? That it wasn't a thing like that.
Yep.
And I think that we've become so disillusioned by the concept of celebrity that we stop seeking what is true. You know, even when he brought up,
because you can just put that, oh, he's crazy. You stamp him as crazy, and then everybody turn your back on them at that. You know, that's.
So, think about what he even said with Chappelle. Everybody called Dave Chappelle crazy for walking away. Dave Chappelle's on drugs. Dave Chappelle's this. Dave Chappelle's out of control. He's and he wasn't. He literally walked away to preserve his dignity. But our culture, brown folk, tried to crucify too. Oh, that dude crazy. I'd have done anything for that money. I'd have done this. Exactly. They know you wouldn't
understand until they're walking. You gotta be in that in the room.
But that's the. But
I wish Cat could have talked a little bit more about what he thought about. He touched on it, but then he started going to other topics. I wish he talked a little bit more about Dave Chappelle and that money that he walked away from and why he walked away. I mean, obviously we heard it from Dave, so we got the story.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But that's the thing. I mean, the industry has lied to us forever. And I mean, I'm gonna touch on it. It's still touchy, I get it. But even with Bill Cosby, I mean, there was so much to Bill's story that get that the powers that be had every reason to bring him down because he threatened their control. He did. Remember, Bill was going to buy NBC by himself. One black dude,
they do stuff
out of their consortium,
but
was going to own NBC.
It's one of them things where two things can be right.
Right.
You know, they'll humble you down if you get too powerful, but then you also was, because of the culture, you also were drugging and sleeping with drug up women, and you also were wrong. And I believe. But
here's my problem. Allegedly, even if you did it, I guarantee Bill wasn't the only one. Those other men in those suits in those rooms, if we really want to pull that up, let's pull receipts on them then. Let's look at how many of the actual board members in NBC and all these other major corporations have had prostitutes or women they drugged or models or Epstein's Island. That list just came out. So you can't tell me that you people are walking away from this with your hands clean, because here's the messed up part about it. The only way he'd have access to it is if you didn't build it.
That list,
you already had it in place.
That list about to be crazy.
And guess what? It needs to be scorched earth for them too. I don't want no pity parties for none of them. Because if that's what you're going to do and you want to play selective outrage like you said, nah. I need everybody to go down, because this Me Too, cancel you, do this and that, you can't grow. Okay, if that's the culture you wanted to create, now when it's time to cancel you, don't run from it. All right, I don't believe in cancel culture.
Final thoughts on Cat. And I got one more topic that just came to mind. But my final thoughts is let's protect Cat, because Cat don't drink no random drinks or nothing like that.
No. and pay attention. If anything comes out about Cat Williams or anything shifts, even in the next 5, 6, 7, 10 years, pay attention, because they can't always attack you right away. They're going to try to do something. They're going to try to plant something. Something's going to occur in some form or fashion is going to try to discredit everything that he said. Remember, And I thought about this too when it comes to entertainment, because like I said, initially when I went to college, I went for multimedia graphic design. One of the first things they taught me was how to implant subliminal messages in media, right? If you're editing, they tell you the split seconds, the times, the tempos, all these different things to get your brain to take something in. And the thing is we it's become a conspiracy theory of sorts, but the Mandela effect. Something I've thought about recently about the Mandela effect. The media controls what you see, right? If they wanted to change history in real time just to see if people paid attention, they'll do it. It's an experiment. It's a social experiment. I want to see if in real time, what you think you believed, you think you saw, I'm going to change that. Yep. So now it has you second guessing. Hey, did that toy exist, or did that commercial exist, or did that? It absolutely did. The media, it's a social experiment. I'm telling you, just because it's something that I had to take from going to school doing that and going, wait a minute, that would make sense. This stuff did happen. They did publicize this. They did say this way, and they make you think that you're crazy for thinking that. That's insane. But these things have happened. Color switches and little nuanced things. They just change small things to see if those who believe that it happened versus those who said, nah, it never happened. Because they're selectively choosing to ignore something they know is a fact. That's the crazy part. That's how social media works. You change the slightest thing, the slightest detail, and get you to believe it. And you will try to convince the rest of the room that never happened. That's the problem that we're going through right now. The Mandela effect is a real thing, and it's a psychological experiment that they're doing on the people, period.
All right. Last one. Lauryn Hill.
What'd she do?
She told people that it's a privilege that she even show up. She's been chronically late to concerts.
Forever. Dear Sister Lauryn, Miss Hill, if you will, as much as we've appreciated your contributions to music, you are not important. You have done one album that was relatively great. I can't listen to the whole album without skips. There are several skips. The best thing you've ever done was with the Fugees. So please stop thinking that you deserve some level of credence of privilege here. You have not created any new music in the last, 20 years? Are we 20? Are we 30? Are we 30 in? I think we're 30 in now. Is that 30 years? When did the Miseducation come out?
Give me a second, because I was pulling up.
I'll do it. You get your part. I'll get the Miseducation.
What she said was they're lucky she even showed up.
The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was released on August 25th, 1998. Miss Hill, you have not been relevant since the summer of 99. Because what? That's the year that the thing you do came out. Because I forget the first single that came off that track list. I might be wrong, but that was the last time he was really popping. Stop. It's not a privilege. Now you're becoming, she's the bitter one. She's the one who can't let go of her previous success. Because if you can continue to do it, you'd have released more projects. You'd have found new bands. I mean, you think about Tony, and you look at Lucy Pearl, because he went from here to here, Raphael Sadiq. He made a transition and did more music, and then he started doing soundtracks and all these things. You look at these artists who might have started with one group and carried on their solo career in a different way, or joined another group, or developed talent, or whatever. What has Lauryn done? She hasn't put on any new singers. She's promoted no new music. She hasn't contributed to a new sound since the Miseducation. So come on.
I think I'm tired of her attitude.
Been tired.
Nasty. I think it's disgusting. For her to say that they're lucky she even showed up. People are spending their time, their hard-earned money.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting their hair done.
Yep.
They're driving far to come and see you, and for them to stand there for hours or sit, whatever it is, for
Mm-hmm.
hours for you to show up and perform, I think it's disgusting,
But
especially as a singer
how
myself. And I just don't, I can't imagine treating my audience like that. And I just
right?
think it's nasty. And if you don't care about it, go sit down. We can
Right.
play this single. I
Yeah,
mean, you're an
absolutely.
excellent singer, excellent rapper. The album was great. I've even heard that she didn't even write that album, which is
I
why we're here allegedly.
allegedly.
Is why there was never another one, and she didn't pay people properly or give them their dues
Mm-hmm.
properly. This is the through the rumor mill. So I'm not liking what I'm hearing about her attitude and about her reputation and about her professionalism, and I'm over it.
I can't even imagine how good her stage performance would be. Like,
She's official.
what's she doing?
Oh, she has different arrangements. She's rapping real quickly. The voice is
Uh,
voicing. She puts
all
on
right,
the
all
shows I've
right,
seen, at least as far as online, have been good shows. But
all
I
right.
keep hearing that you're hours late.
And that's the problem. Like, we're not here to wait for you. You as a performer and as an event, you have to do the thing you're going to do at the time in which you say you're going to do it.
I like the
Um,
album enough where I don't ever have to see you perform again.
right. I'm fine with it. I'll literally, it's a time capsule, right? But if you're gonna keep trying to okey doke people into this position, no, you have to do more.
And
You
I'm
have
not
to
waiting hours for.
no.
I'll wait
Listen,
5 hours for Beyonce.
listen. I was about to say, if you really want to elevate your career again and get back to some status, go see Kanye. Go sing on something Kanye got going on. He got you. You crazy, he crazy. Y'all gonna be crazy together. Go see Kanye. Kanye got you. But the thing is Lauren can never be a Beyonce. Lauren can never. I mean, and it's sad because I want to put her in the veins of Jill Scott and uh
Erica Badu.
Angie Stone, Erica Badu. I want that. I would love that. But you didn't even try after that first album. And I get it. She went through some health things. She went through some mental issues. But you've had time to get back. If you're making this money, sweetheart, you could jump in the studio and just kind of start cooking.
When you reach that, then anything you put up against is just not going to, even if it is great, it's always going to be compared to that other thing. But it's just like, get
But
your
that's why, but that's why you take it and you start to make an amalgam of stuff. You know what I mean? I look at painters, you know what I mean? There's some paintings that will take off and they're iconic. And just because that follow-up painting isn't as iconic doesn't mean it's still not as brilliant.
we
And
know
that's
that,
the
but when
thing.
it's you, that don't mean you
Right.
feel
Oh,
the pressure.
listen,
I mean, that might be why Andre playing the flute.
no, Andre said it. He's like, I ain't got nothing to talk about yet. But he did allude to a new Outcast project. When I tell you,
I
let
heard that
Andre listen, give me that new Outcast. I'm for it. I'm listen.
he gonna be right in the swing of things.
I'm telling you, and he's gonna be in such a musical space
Mm-hmm.
that the music that comes from it. And listen. I gotta get off Lauren for 2 seconds because the Andre thing is a thing.
Okay.
Because when you think about their musical arrangement and who they can bring in with this, you get organized noise. The Dungeon family is going to show up. And I mean, you're gonna have Sleepy Brown come in. You got Janelle Monáe coming back in. You got Killer Mike. I mean,
Dude, the
listen,
stride that T-Pain is on right now.
yeah. Listen, I'm telling you that, like Andre said in '98 at the Source Awards, the South got something to say. I'm waiting for that because
I would
I
love
think,
that.
man, I'm telling you.
And we need it now. Like, I'm gonna bring in one more thing before we get up out of here. Watching that Scarface Tiny Desk
Yeah.
reminds you of how much we need real lyricists and
Yes.
storytellers back in the game.
But that's the issue. These kids think they looked at it as a quick bag and they didn't take time to say, if I'm a craftsman, if I'm a wordsmith, let me come in and really create this thing.
Everybody trying to make a bop. Bop
Because
sell.
what the industry did was they went out and got gullible dummies and paraded him in front of everybody and told you if you don't like him, you're a hater. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm sure that as a person, Sexy Red is probably an okay person, right? I'm saying okay because I don't know her, but your behavior, your antics, you're a clown because
people are willing to do anything for bread. They don't have to have substance. They don't care about quality.
This goes back to Cat Williams. How much your booty hole costs? What are you willing to sell? That's what he said. It's not my Cat said that. So again,
I think we're gonna end on that. I don't think you can follow that up with anything.
I'm just saying.
I'm done with this. All right.
Hey.
This has been the 30s Perspective. Shout out to my co-host tonight, Chris.
The artist formerly known as. Yeah.
I'm Sherelle Unique.
Yes, sir.
It's 2024. Man. And look, we busting through the door.
Listen, wait. No, before we just my closing thing. The dude that jumped at the judge, my guy. My guy.
I gotta know a little bit more because I heard about the person attacking the judge before.
Yeah.
I gotta know a little bit more about what he did and what was said. I don't. So we'll bring that topic up next episode.
Coming soon.
Shots fired. Boom, 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 boom. Anybody can get it. All right, we out. 30 Perspective.
Dude.
Bye.
We out here.